And up first, 5.01, all-day kindergarten report. And Barbara Wallace is going to talk to us first.
Good evening, President Davidson, Dr. Kellogg, members of the board, and Mr. Griffith. This evening, I will be presenting a brief update on our all-day kindergarten program. Last year, the board determined that we would move forward with all-day kindergarten on a limited basis of 10 classrooms. We proceeded with selecting the students for the program through a random selection process and had over 400 applicants. Participating families pay $3,000 per year in 10 installments for the program or may qualify for a waiver based on income limitations. This slide shows you the locations of our kindergarten classes at this time. I thought you might be interested to see this. Across the top is the home school. If you look at the bottom column, it tells you how many students in each of those schools are attending an all-day kindergarten program, and then as you scroll up, you can see where. For example, if you go to Hawthorne, you see at the bottom there are 41 students from kindergarten and all-day kindergarten. 2 of them attend at Elcott, 1 at Amherst, 1 at Charrington, 23 at Hawthorne, 13 at Longfellow, and 1 at Robert Frost. This is just an approximate cost of staffing for licensed, classified, and total staffing costs. We're currently serving 257 students. 122 of these students are on fee waivers, that's 47%. We expect a revenue of approximately $407,000. I thought this was a fun slide too. This shows us how many students got their first choice. These are a few demographics. Our first column shows the number of students on waivers in each class and then the percent. The second column is the school's free and reduced lunch count. The third column is how many males to females. We had several more males than females in this class. And the last column is the number of English second language students that we have. A couple of comments before I turn the floor over to our teachers. The startup of all-day kindergarten went smoothly in our home buildings. Longfellow presents some interesting challenges that we work through and continue to work through. I have met with all of our all-day kindergarten teachers to hear their perspective on how the beginning of this year has gone. They candidly shared the positives and suggestions for moving forward. The all-day kindergarten Oversight Committee has met once and will meet again in October. The committee will gather data, monitor our all-day kindergarten program, and make recommendations for next year. We would like to present to the board again around winter break to get board feedback and planning for next year. Next, I have 2 teachers I'd like to introduce. We have with us tonight Erin Holloway from all-day kindergarten at Hawthorne and Amy Clifton, our all-day kindergarten teacher at Whittier.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. We're just going to talk a little bit about our perspective of all-day kindergarten so far. We brought some pictures to show you, so we're just going to talk through a little bit about what these pictures mean in our all-day program. The very first picture, I think, is kind of a combination picture of stations and hat day. at Whittier. So one thing we just wanted to mention about that is the kindergartners feel more a part of the school environment. A lot of time when you're in half-day kindergarten, especially in the PM class, you don't hear the announcements. Sometimes those notes don't get sent home on the correct day because they kind of miss out. And so sometimes the teachers and the parents miss out on a little bit, and the kids don't feel as a part of the whole school environment. So now that they're there full day, they feel kind of more just like the big kids. They get to do what they do and participate in all the events and activities that they get to. The center picture is a picture of the lunch line and a 5th grade buddy helping our kindergartners reach those very high shelves. But just that they're learning routines that they wouldn't have learned in half-day kindergarten. So this is their first experience going through a lunch line and eating lunch and getting to go outside for recess without their teacher. So that's kind of fun for them. And the third picture on this slide is a field trip to Ennis Woods. I think this is one of our most exciting things about all-day kindergarten is, having that time to spend at a field trip. In half-day kindergarten, it takes, 20, 30 minutes for a bus ride to get to a location. Usually, when you're there, it's usually an hour field trip, sometimes more, and then another half an hour or so back to the school. That's your whole half day. So you kind of get to school, you get rushed off, you get thrown at a field trip. We probably have to cut half of it out, run around, come back, and throw them on another bus to go home. So it's a very, very rushed day for half day, even though they still get that experience. Now on full day, we got to go, spend as much time there as we wanted, take as long as we wanted, sit down and have a picnic lunch, come back and then discuss the field trip right then and there on the same exact day and have some more time at school. So it was a lot more that they were able to process and soak in and enjoy.
The other part about all-day kindergarten, which has been wonderful, is getting the gift of time. With our large class sizes being at 26 this year, it's been nice to make them into small groups and not to feel like we're rushed through our literacy and to do our guided math centers. So here are some pictures of the children where they're doing the hands-on. We have technology that we get to pilot and try to use, and it's nice to have that time during the day to do so. Where we can keep the kids in small groups and really individualize, differentiate so they're ready for first grade. And they're understanding how to go through the centers and doing sight words and just really trying to collaborate, pulling our buddies from the other grade levels in so they're getting those relationships as well. And then we have another picture of the lunch there. And that's really about it.
I think it is. Yep, because
Erin
that's
kind
another
of covered
half-day
it.
picture too.
Yep. So
What-
both centers
What's
there.
the guy with the Superman shirt doing there?
Well, he is writing his letters using shaving cream because we have time to wash our hands after that center as well.
Yeah, we definitely get to do messier things because we
But
have
yeah.
more time to clean up afterwards.
More
so.
the hands-on, not always paper pencil, because that's how we learn, being hands-on.
Do you have any questions for us?
Just a couple. What thus far has been most surprising to you about moving to all day?
I have to say, probably my first day, not doubling everything. Not feeling like I'm rushed, that I have to set the room up. I set it up for one set of kids, so everything in that room pertains to them. Doing half-day, when I did calendar, I had 2 calendars. So every kid comes in the afternoon thinking, well, who's in my room in the morning? So they kind of have ownership. It makes it their community. I can put more of their belongings and their learning tools that they already understand. So that's been a positive for me.
I think that was a huge, we met as all-day kindergarten teachers just a couple weeks ago, and I think that was a huge surprise to everybody was, we have been so used to many years rushing and getting stuff done. And so, we got to the second half of the day, and we're so used to talking a mile a minute that we were like, wow, we got 2 hours left. And it was a little hard to think, wow, we can slow down, we can take more time, we can review more things, we can have a little bit more fun with them. So I think that was pretty hard for all of us, I think, that those first couple of weeks, so.
You showed some demographics, and the one I'm going to ask you may not have access to that information. Do you know what percentage, and Barb, you may know or may not, what percentage of the kids in the all-day program had preschool experience?
I think it's about 60%.
So it pretty much holds with the average for the state of Ohio? Okay. Thank you.
Wow. No particular questions about your day, because I can hear what you're saying about the day being more organized, and you feel like, you know, at the end of the day, you've actually completed something. You don't have to repeat and repeat. But question about the second slide, Barb, I don't know if we can go back to that or not. We kind of skipped over that quickly. There was one with the cost factor, I think. Maybe a second or third slide.
One with the 407,000 on it.
That was the income, I think.
Total staffing cost was $493,000.
Oh, is that what it was? I don't remember. It was like gone.
One before that,
One
though.
before that one, yeah.
There.
And there it is, yeah. Okay, that's the staffing cost. Okay, that's what you had. And I got you. And then you said the income was 407,000, which is really interesting that, you know, we came even with those that are fit the reduced cost. So, thank you, I appreciate that.
This, got to remember now, this includes opening a whole nother building too, because that took secretaries and all the support staff, and that's in there as
everybody,
well.
yeah.
So, yeah, and from a financial standpoint, general fund didn't take much of a hit in order to put this together, so, which is what we projected.
Well, and also, we would have been incurring some of those costs anyway, because the kids would have been half-day. So as we look at it, it suggests to me just kind of ballpark that it's pretty much a wash, which is a good wash.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, no.
This feels really loud, is it? No? Okay. How important are the peer models in your school?
Are you talking like the older students?
Mhm.
Well, they're very important. So when we can involve them, like mine really right now only help during lunch. It's just a way for, one, those kids to get exposure into being a leader. So we've chosen some of our leadership students in the building, and just some kids that have, are doing something really great in the fifth grade classrooms, because I eat lunch with fifth grade, that, sit down and make sure my kids know what to grab, how to grab it, how to walk and hold it with two hands. And those kindergartners, like I said, it's an experience they've never had. So, just having some buddies to help them definitely, they wouldn't be able to do it without them. So I know a lot of adults helped the first couple weeks. I think I was in there for 3 weeks. So, but the kids have really taken ownership, and it runs very smoothly now. And I know you have them in your classroom, correct? Some?
They come down and help out as well. And our older kids too, we've been grateful for the good weather around lunchtime, so we haven't had to do an indoor recess with the 5 and 6-year-olds yet. But we have the older kids even come in and teach it something so basic that for people to teach them how to do indoor recess games, how to teach them how to do school, which we always saved in the springtime for the big kids to come down to teach the kindergartners. But now they get to start doing that right now. And we have helpers that help them get to the classrooms, and so it's very positive to have those extra hands. And for the buildings that don't have those older kids, I'd like to also say thank you to you guys, because you guys have stepped in and found some community support to help our buildings that don't have the big kids, to give some extra hands in there too. So thank you for recognizing that for us.
So what do you think of the cutoff date for kindergartners, honestly?
We've done some research on that many a times, and presented that, but because I think we all believe as kindergarten teachers, we would rather have the cutoff date at August 1st.
Okay,
Just because now that we've started our school year earlier, maybe not just because, but even more so because now that we start our school year earlier, we have some children that are 4 years old until almost the end of the first quarter. And while I'm not saying every 4-year-old isn't ready for kindergarten. I'm not saying that at all, because I've had some even early entrance students that have been just fine. But I would say a majority of children, I think one more year of maturity would benefit them, especially for their rigorous curriculum that we now have with the Common Core, which is why we also have pushed so hard for all day, because with what we need to teach them now, we feel like this time that we've now been partly given across the district, it's really going to benefit our kindergartners.
Okay.
Our all-day kindergarten committee will be taking data and looking just at birth dates to see how many children fall into that, and then also looking at how many of those children in first grade, where did they come into first grade, to see if there is a difference. So that
And who makes up that committee?
Erin is on that committee. We have 2 principals on that committee. We have a parent on that committee. Amy's on, I'm not good at remembering things. Like
So-
Amy's on that committee. There's gonna be about 7 or 8 of us. And
Okay.
anybody else, if you know of anyone
Trying to track the
interested.
data.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
And I think an important part too, because I've had situations where I've had 4-year-olds come in and they academically are truly
Just fine.
ready and mature. I think I would also love to see, which we'll discuss in the committee too, is starting to explain to parents, now that we know what an all-day kindergarten and starting to get ourselves more acquainted with it, I think educating the parents in the springtime and telling them this is what the all-day looks like. And as your child, if it's an option, if they get to choose half-day versus all-day, this is what the program looks like. Last year, we didn't know what it was gonna look like. We knew what we wanted it to look like. And I think inviting parents and really having those conversations and meetings as much as we can, even in the springtime, would be at benefit before they just sign up for the lottery thinking, oh, it's all day. But what does that all day look like? We can talk about the ones that look tired at the end of the day. The ones, and to listen to those preschool teachers as much as they can in taking their lead.
Do you want to ask something?
No, I have one more thing, but you go ahead.
So here's another question. The potty in your room, how important is that?
Very important. It's the only one we're allowed to use now. I compared it, I told parents, I said, you know what? How many of us send our 5-year-old at a restaurant to the restroom by themselves?
Right?
Not many. Usually an older sibling takes them or the parent. This is the first time for lunch. It's the first time recess on their own. It's the first time they use the restroom.
Yeah, that's
in a
honestly
group.
been one of my biggest surprises this year, is how fascinated they are with the
Yes.
bathrooms. I was like truly surprised, because in a half day, if I have 5 kids go to the bathroom once, that's it. I mean, it's not every single kid. They could care less that it's there. They only go if they truly have to go. I mean, this year I literally had every single kid wanting to go every 5 minutes, and I was like, what is so different? And I'm so shocked. We actually now have to even take scheduled bathroom breaks in the hallway, because I have only one bathroom and 26 kids. So I even have to go in the bathroom to take a scheduled break, because my children are just fascinated. And I think it's just part of them, their mind wanders. And, when you're so busy, that's the first thing you think of. It's like being thirsty or being hungry or, whatever. It's the first thing you think of. You're sitting there watching a show. Oh, guess what? I'm hungry. Well, no, you're probably not. That's what you're doing. You're sitting down watching a TV show, so you automatically go there. I kind of think it's the same way with the bathroom for my kids. You're sitting down doing a paper, so they all 26 have to go to the bathroom.
And it becomes a thing that you have to teach them too. Just
Yep.
like, we spend almost till November teaching how to line up at the door. So now this is how we use the restroom. And
Yeah.
the first week of school
And
was
when we
not,
use the restroom.
yes, and what is expected and what is appropriate for them. But I also have children that, I have one ESL student, one English second language child in my classroom, who actually understands quite a bit. And so for me to communicate that to my children too is very simple. And they knew right from wrong. And then when I told them, I said, you don't go into the restroom and be silly when moms and dads are right there. No, well, we don't do that at school. So setting those expectations, but truly it's the
Having
one
it
time
in
the,
there,
the
it's
group
needed.
visit to the restroom is usually at lunchtime, and that's about it. Other than that, they use it within the classroom. So
Okay.
I was wondering, as you talked about the next report around winter break time, there are a couple of things I'm hoping you'll be able to focus on in the committee. And if not, I understand, but I really would like to know some of this. At that time, I think that you would have some preliminary information that would allow us to take a look at our half-day and our whole day and get a sense, for example, of any differences in progress across the standards and behaviors and expectations in kindergarten. Also, the differences in delivery, curricular delivery between half and full. And it might also be very helpful, whether for this report or the next, to survey parents and get a sense of what sort of behaviors they may be seeing at home, what sort of thoughts, things they see with their children in half versus whole. And I'm not suggesting that one is better than the other. What I think it behooves us to understand very clearly what we have in both examples.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Barbara, there's no one from Longfellow? No. I just wondered if they wanted to share. I think it's a totally different building. Is there anything you want to share with us that you would like us to know?
Come to the mic if you would.
Sorry.
I think they did a good job of explaining about some of those surprises we had. They've made such huge growth already, leaps and bounds. We've got a long way to go. I like your description of the restroom. Your parents wouldn't send their children to a bathroom alone, and so and we're working through those things. So there's been some challenges in that sense, but we're making a lot of progress. The teachers are very positive. We've got a lot of support from the other kindergarten teachers, which has been a huge help too. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
And Barbara, I would ask you one more thing when it comes to committee time. I'm wondering what the thought is balancing males to females, because I did notice it was very heavily male, and if there are not issues, but concerns of balancing. So I think that would be it. Dr. Kellogg, anything you would like to add?
No, I appreciate folks being here and talking open and honestly about challenges that there are things that all the adults who think like adults thought about, and then there's the things that the 5-year-olds discover for us that we then have to think about. Little things like portions of playground equipment, restrooms, lineup, all those pieces. And I know at Longfellow it's a little bit more unique because of the differences in that facility. You don't have the older students there as they did at Hawthorne to serve as mentors. You don't have the bathrooms in the classrooms at that point. And then the data in terms of our classrooms, which represent a lot of the differences between our buildings and our schools, play out there as well. So, and you mentioned the gender distribution, which I'd have to go back and look at the entire pool to see if the pool was skewed more males to females in that same way, because I know the process was random. So did we have data on male to females that was representative of the pool, or was it disproportionate to the pool? And if so, why? If so, we have to call Google, because I think somehow or another it was their fault, since we're using their devices. So I think we got to go through all those. I thought Jeff LaRose and his team, Carrie Dennis, all those folks who had to get that facility up and running did a fantastic job and have responded since then with modifications to playgrounds and helping out with some other pieces. I think we had some safety concerns with classroom windows and things that they've gone back and retrofitted. Little things, you saw the young kid trying to go through I had never thought about the lunch line piece in some kindergarten with their tray up here as they're trying to get their food. You can't even see the food, so how do you know what you're selecting? And we saw the same thing at Longfellow with, how high off the floor are the sinks? Those kinds of things that we had to make adjustments for. So we'll continue to tease it out. The board commissioned us to have a committee. Barb's put that together. We'll continue to monitor all those elements of the program, and at some point, part of that will be what you've asked for tonight, and then the other piece would be if there's opportunities for expansion for next year, if that's where we want to go, what does that look like in terms of classrooms and numbers? At some point, we saturate on classroom space in order to do it. And of course, expansion means FTE to that program, which may mean we don't do FTE to other programs. So there's that robbing Peter to pay Paul, as my mom used to say, that we have to look at. So lots of good things. So September, whatever it is today, September 20-something, hats off to the team who, all the folks who were making that happen, because it really was fabulous to see, and I appreciate their support. So we'll continue to push and ask questions and make it a high-quality program.
Sounds good. Thank you.